Alright, so IGN put out a review for Metaphor ReFantazio. And this is a game that's releasing on Friday. It's supposed to be kind of like a Persona style game. I will say this isn't generally my wheelhouse of the types of games that I play, but I do think it looks interesting. And I may try it out. I know they have the demo out. I have it on my Steam. I just haven't tried it out. But let's check out IGN's review of it.
One has to ask, them dead, who shall take the throne?
What kind of lessons do we learn from our favorite pieces of fiction? Are they simply a means for escapism and enjoyment, or can they have a tangible impact on our lives? With so many of my favorite RPGs having come from developer Atlas,
Yeah, straight
my
up
answer
like
to that
JRPG
last question is a
style
resounding
game, right?
yes. Metaphor ReFantazio ponders these questions in both
ReFantazio?
concrete
Is
and
that, I
abstract
hear
ways
everyone say
through the
it
lens of a
differently,
politically
so.
charged fantasy RPG, further proving that there's real power in the stories games can tell. As familiar as it may feel at times, it also treads new territory with a sense of clarity in its message and an
I think the
empathy
graphics
that
look
ripples
good.
throughout its
Art
harsh
style is
world.
pretty damn good.
From its more intimate moments to the grand gestures in its main story, Metaphor makes a loud and clear statement, one that is both relevant to our world today and a timeless examination of the best and worst parts of humanity.
Kings remembered
Without
in
much
time.
pretense, you're put into the shoes of a
big-ass
young
world.
man in the cold-hearted kingdom of Ukrainia. With the reigning king murdered and his only son in a curse-bound coma, a magically driven election kicks off as candidates compete for the open seat on the throne, yourself included.
The people of my land
Interesting.
desire a new king, and I shall provide.
The inner workings of the election process and your role within it evolves as the roughly 80-hour story unfolds.
Damn.
This setup
Yeah, so one of the podcasts that I listened to, Drop Frames, one of the guys in the podcast was saying he tried out the demo, and he was saying the demo was about 10-11ish hours is what it took him to get through it. And from what I've heard about the if you play the demo, any progress you make in the demo carries over to the full game. So that's a big plus. You don't have to redo everything, especially with a long ass demo like that. But yeah, they did mention that it was like an 80-hour game, which is massive. So yeah, that's
serves as the
a lot to
compelling
take in.
drama that propels you through a land plagued with racism, inequality, poverty, religious extremism, and exploitation.
Please! I've done nothing wrong!
These themes are at the forefront of Metaphor, and they aren't just set dressing. Even a quick glance at its writing will tell you how it expresses its inherently progressive politics without pulling any punches.
Equal competition doesn't mean equal footing.
As you gain allies, interact with the people who embody these struggles, and travel across the land to earn the support of seemingly disparate societies, the story consistently demonstrates an understanding of the
rabbit, dude?
dynamics that give rise to such an ugly world. For a game called
something like
Metaphor, it's not exactly interested in subtext, and in some respects, that's to its advantage as it makes its stance unmistakable.
I only wanted not to be alienated for who and what I am.
Metaphor is so clearly built on the RPG foundations of Shin Megami Tensei and Persona. The
Yeah,
Persona
yeah, I've
framework
heard a
in
lot of
particular
comparisons
is
to
incredibly
Persona.
effective for exploring its themes and letting you build meaningful
so
connections.
another callback to the podcast that I listened to. JP, who is in the podcast, he mentioned that he thinks that the combat in this game is actually better than the combat in Persona, and what he mentioned was that in Persona, if there's like weak enemies and you go to kill them, you have to do it puts you into turn-based combat. And what he was saying is, in the combat of this game, if you can one shot an enemy, then it doesn't push you through the process of having to go fully into turn-based combat. You just kill the enemy and move on, which I think that is a plus. Because I mean, if you're just gonna one-shot an enemy, like it's literally just a waste of time to go into the whole turn-based combat system. So
with the events and people on the ground level. You live life through a daily calendar system. As time marches on and the age of a new king draws nearer, choosing how to spend your segmented afternoons and nights are as vital as making sure you take care of the main objectives that drive the
Damn,
story's
that's cool.
major
That's like a
events.
creature.
Thus,
I like
you
the
find a
colors on
balance
it.
between building bonds, tearing through monster-ridden dungeons, and hitting the main quest deadlines. Compared to other Atlas joints, it's done with noticeably less filler, which keeps up the sense of momentum.
Fire!
Take the Bond and Royal Virtue systems, for example. They are adaptations of Persona's social links and social stats, but refined. There's less mystery to how you rank up since the conditions for leveling up bonds are made clearer and progress in virtue stats are explicitly shown.
Okay, so basically like relationship type systems,
It's one way
right?
in which Metaphor delivers already compelling systems more effectively and efficiently. And for a story about gaining the trust and support of people from all walks of life, there's a thematic coherence to taking the time to help those who've been left to rot in their misfortune in an unjust society. Side quests also fill out the in-between moments nicely, taking you to various optional dungeons across the kingdom, either through the guise of hunting for bounties or doing a favor for an NPC. These offer more meat when it comes to combat, with tough enemies that litter these curated dungeons. I eventually saw through the formulaic nature of its dungeon layouts, which got a little repetitive, but the
Yeah,
rewards and
that's generally
challenges
how it
are worth your
goes.
time, and they balance out the social aspects well.
I think that is one thing that a lot of games need to like work on, especially games that have like these dungeon type systems like Diablo and Shrouded, PoE, you know, anything where you're meant to kind of go through these dungeons and like kind of frequently as well. There needs to be something needs to be refreshed in that area so that it feels less repetitive. I don't know what that is, but that's definitely something that a lot of games, I don't know, something needs to be done there. Someone needs to come up with some badass idea to refresh that whole kind of a system.
Metaphor is good about not wasting a moment and constantly giving you something to work toward, helping all of its gameplay systems sensibly feed into each other. Metaphor wouldn't be complete without hard-nosed turn-based combat, however. It largely uses the principles of the SMT press turn system, where both your party and enemies are given turn icons, and exploiting elemental weaknesses award extra actions.
Hulkenberg got them right in their weak spot.
There's both a comfort in these familiar systems and an excitement in the way Metaphor changes things up. That is due in large part to the archetypes, which is effectively a class-based job system. It offers a level of flexibility not seen in other Atlas RPGs because any party member can specialize in any of the archetypes while also carrying over skills from others they've leveled up. And how you compose your party leads to wild possibilities in combat.
So you
As you get into the
basically
late game,
level different
you'll unlock
archetypes.
advanced archetypes that have some truly creative mechanics, especially when you factor in the synthesis attacks, where various combinations of archetypes in the party let you unleash powerful multi-hit
so it's like a
spells
party-
or tie-turning buffs at
party-based
the cost
system, right?
of multiple turn icons.
Much thanks.
Thank you.
These new ideas, layered with tried-and-true mechanics, combine into something fresh. While many of Metaphor's hardest battles play out like turn-based puzzles, it's quite the thrill when you're able to devise a plan to overcome enemies who have specific quirks or are just flat-out powerful. There's a satisfaction in figuring out the system in that it doesn't feel like you're exploiting it, but rather understanding how to take advantage of the tools within its flexible RPG progression.
Well, I think that's kind of the like general progression of or like general satisfaction of any kind of like turn-based system. I'm personally not a massive turn-based fan, but I think what the satisfying side of it is, you know, trying to figure out the strategic ways and the things that you have progressed and built onto your you know, however you're building your character, and figuring out the best way of taking advantage of whatever skills or attacks or, you know, whatever you have to take advantage of. Yeah, if you can pull that off, then I think turn-based is okay, but like what I said, I'm not a massive turn-based fan. But if that is done right, I can get into some turn-based.
Weaving in simple real-time action also lets you smack an enemy around to then gain the advantage when initiating combat, lest you get ambushed yourself. It works wonders for churning through fodder since you can hack and slash low-level enemies without having to engage in a turn-based battle at all.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, you could just,
So,
if
like
you're
in
gonna
social sim
one-shot them,
mechanics,
then...
the combat system is a smart evolution of the touchstones that make an Atlas RPG. Also, like those that came before it, Metaphor has a striking sense of style. You can see it clearly in the menus and UI elements, but that
Yeah, I do
ethos
like the
extends
art.
to its world and character designs too. Sure, Atlas is playing into the fantasy genre this time, but it is so distinctly of the studio's aesthetic, one that you just don't see in other games. An inventive, grotesque style is juxtaposed with the beautiful landscapes you visit on your journey, and the
a
anime
lot of
cutscenes
contrast.
that bring the critical story moments to life. It may not be the most technically impressive game, but it makes a strong case for art direction being more important than raw graphical fidelity.
I think it looks
The
good.
unique fantastical vibe is supported by excellent music from longtime Persona composer Shoji Meguro. It's a heavily orchestral soundtrack with some wild opera-style vocals that create a sort of gravitas, whether you're stepping into a new city or ambushing an enemy mob for the 100th time. It took some time for it to grow on me, but
I think the one plus that JRPGs have is that like all of the or most of the really good ones have like a crazy good soundtrack. Like their OSTs tend to be like stupid good.
before I knew it, I'd wake up with the melodies of the battle and town themes stuck in my head, humming along to them as I got deeper into my playthrough. It's not necessarily the emotional experience I've gotten from Meguro's other soundtracks, but it is a strong and crucial part of Metaphor's identity.
Rally behind me! I will shield you from injustice. Rise above birth and circumstance, for they mean nothing!
Metaphor is unapologetic in how it explicitly delivers its message, and I appreciate that it largely understands the dynamics behind inequality and that it takes collective action to uplift those in need. It also has the teeth to show that achieving it is not clean or easy. There's a constant through line about how those in power prey on the fears and anxieties of the people to turn them against each other, and its electoral storyline explores how manipulative
That sounds like
tyrannical
real life.
figures can be in no uncertain terms. Admittedly, its penchant for speaking plainly can cause it to repeat itself or rely on cliches. Tucked within that, however, are sharp, poetic lines that show that this story knows the material it's working with. In some respects, Metaphor can be idealistic, but it's aware of idealism's limitations and earns its hopeful moments by building a crew of characters who put in the work to fight the injustices within their kingdom. For as grand as its story gets, Metaphor still takes the time for camaraderie to blossom among one of the best RPG casts in recent memory. There are heartfelt, intimate moments, endearing goofs for levity, and displays of strength as they fight for each other. It's a party that reflects the ever-present theme of diversity being one of humanity's greatest strengths, and in the year of our Lord 2024, it's nice to have a powerful story say that outright.
Yeah, I would say like in a game like this that is going to be like super story heavy, if the characters aren't like relatable or like, you know, if you can't get attached to the characters, then like for me personally, it is really hard for me to get into the game. Like when I play a story heavy driven game, like the story is pretty important to me. I would say the gameplay is obviously going to be more important, but if it has good gameplay and good story, dude, like these can be my favorite types of games. RPGs with like an amazing story on top of that, those are literally my favorite types of games.
In a year that's been full of personally affecting stories and games, like A Dragon Infinite Wealth, Persona 3 Reload and its DLC, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, 1000 Times Resist, Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail, all of which I have reviewed, Metaphor still manages to secure a special place in my heart. It doesn't just resonate in specific moments, it also serves as a reminder that there's still a bigger world out there, and it's one that we can change for the better no matter how small our efforts may seem. If its main thesis is to express what fiction can do for our reality, my hope is that it resonates with others who can take its message to heart too.
You'll be a hero. Trust me.
Look at his eyes.
There's a certain familiarity to Metaphor ReFantazio, but Atlas takes the principles of its already excellent RPGs and refines them in a way that effortlessly ushers you through its brutal and sometimes whimsical fantasy world. The archetype system brings satisfying progression along with all the new wrinkles added to the turn-based combat for some great hard-fought battles, and the social elements are streamlined to better deliver the most important aspects of the stories they tell. And for all its cliches, there's a powerful sense of purpose behind this adventure. I felt a unique warmth in its message because it's driven by the ideals of a just society, and smartly contextualizes it in surprising ways. Metaphor ReFantazio is poetic in that, and at times idealistic, but it also understands its complexities and that change requires action, and that even far-fetched fantasy stories can serve as inspiration to make our world a better place.
Damn!
In a year
IGN
full of
gave
tremendous
something a 9.
RPGs, be sure to check out my reviews of Persona 3 Reload and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and for everything else, stick with IGN.
Holy shit. Yeah, I think it looks really good. I think it looks really good. Let's check out some of the comments left here. The prologue demo totally sold me on this game. It feels like a culmination of everything Atlas has put out so far. Yeah, I need to install it and try it out. I have it, but I haven't tried it out yet. I mean, we got a few days before the game actually comes out. Which, while I'm looking, how much is the game? It's gonna be a $70 game. Yeah, that sucks. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of dough. But I'll have to think about it. I'll have to try out the demo prologue and you know, see. But yeah. What do your Atlas have had? Persona 3 Reload, Shin Megami Tensei, Vengeance and Metaphor ReFantazio. Unicorn Overlord as well, seeing as they published that, and we know Vanillaware are basically unofficially part of the Atlas family. Atlas is the chef of JRPGs. Yeah, I haven't played a ton of JRPGs, but I do really like. I need to try out some more. I've never been naturally drawn to them, but there's a part of me that wants to try out more of them because it's kind of like one of those genres that I just haven't dived deep into. The demo for this game is no longer than many AAA title. Dude, I know, like, right? Like a lot of AAAs are pretty short, and they're $70. 95 on Open Critic, tied with the Astrobot. A new Game of the Year 2024 contender has entered the conversation. I mean, I think Wukong's gonna get it. Wukong is definitely not my Game of the Year, but I think Wukong is gonna get it, just from like all the hype you heard when it came out. Game has 94% on Metacritic. Buy it. Damn, 94%. Yeah, everyone I've heard talking about the game is saying a lot of good things about it. Yeah, dude, I'm gonna have to try it. I'm gonna at least have to try the demo. If any of you out there are trying it or have tried the demo, definitely let me know your thoughts, and especially for someone like me who hasn't dived into a lot of JRPGs like this, and for someone that isn't exactly inclined to a turn-based combat system, definitely let me know if you think it would be worth me trying out, because like I'm interested in it. I'm hearing nothing but good things about it. The art looks good, the story looks good. The big thing for me is the $70 price tag, man. That's a lot of money. There's so many games coming out right now, and so many of them have a $70 price tag, and like, we also have Dragon Age: The Veilguard coming out at the end of the month, which I'm pretty sure is going to be a $70 price tag. Let me actually look real quick. Because that's right now, Dragon Age: The Veilguard is the main one I'm thinking about getting. Okay, so Dragon Age: The Veilguard is $60, but still, that's a lot of money. Yeah, definitely let me know your thoughts on the game if you've played it, or if you're planning on playing it. Let me know all that down in the comments. But I would say, with it being like an 80-hour game, I would say the $70 price tag would make it a little bit more worth it if you contextualize, you know, price to hours played, which a lot of people do these days. I don't necessarily. I'm fine with a game being a bit shorter than that and still spending $70. I would prefer to spend $60. But yeah, I'm definitely kind of drawn to this one. There's a lot about this one that's making me want to try it out. But yeah, we're gonna call it here for this one. If you like the video, hit the like button. It definitely helps the channel out a lot. If you're new around here, definitely subscribe. We've been doing a lot of like reaction videos and stuff recently. So yeah, if you have anything you would like me to react to, anything to check out on the internet, leave all that down in the comments. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.